Bitcoin price is $64,300. The next Fed meeting takes place in 3 days. There is a 97% chance of no change. So we know that nothing is going to happen. But if Kevin Walsh, the new Fed chair, says at any point during Wednesday's meeting that it's unlikely that there will be any rate cuts in 2026, then we will complete the Bitcoin wick-off accumulation pattern and soon find ourselves at $40,000. Today, I've prepared you all of the data that we need to accurately predict what's going to happen next. So as always, drop a like on the video, turn on channel notifications, click on the video description, scroll down and join my free Telegram, because in there every single day I go through some of the most in-depth cryptocurrency analysis that you'll find for free on the internet. And let's crack on. So over the course of the past week, we can see that most of the time BlackRock was selling Bitcoin. However, on Friday we finished again with a buy. And also on Thursday it bought, but other people sold. So important question number one, is BlackRock going to continue to sell next week? Well, the selling from BlackRock wouldn't be for the SpaceX IPO anymore. And the Anthropic IPO just got delayed because the US government shut down Fable 5, which means the ETF downwards pressure on Bitcoin might be ending on Monday. And on Wednesday of next week, it's the FOMC meeting. So it seems unlikely that BlackRock would be just starting selling before the FOMC meeting. There's no good reason to. So then we look over at the funding rates at the moment on a Sunday, and we can see that, look, it's mostly negative, but very neutral. Everything's so close to zero, which means the market has got parity. That basically means that longs and shorts are receiving overall the same amount of interest. But the problem is the interest that it is receiving is increasingly less interest. You can see here, this is futures volume plus spot volume. It's going down constantly over the course of the past couple of weeks. And when we look on spot volume alone, you can see how bad that drop off is. And then when we switch it from a 1 hour chart to a 1 day chart, and we turn off futures volume, we'll look at spot, well, we see we just had a big spike up in spot volume, and now we're experiencing a massive drop off in spot volume. And that can mean a couple of things. It most likely means that we're now in a range of accumulation before the FOMC meeting, and then after the FOMC meeting, it's all gonna kick off. And this right here is the volatility index. You can see it's ticked up, you can see it's going sideways. It did the same thing before it shot upwards. It did the same thing here where it just stayed sideways and the price went down. The way the volatility index works is it basically just tracks how often Bitcoin gets volatile. And this is basically just tracking the percentage swings and how they add up during the span of a day. And all that it tells us is we're due for a big move. But the chart itself isn't giving us any market direction. We can, however, gain market direction from the Bitcoin exchange balances chart, which we can see in the past 24 hours dropped ever so slightly by about 5,000 Bitcoin. Meanwhile, during that same period of time, the price of Bitcoin went up by about $1,000. And we know that that is most likely coming from the spot buying pressure that's happening here with a 51.59% skew. We can also see today that futures volume is also pressuring the market upwards with a 51.44% skew. And when we look over at the USDT balances, we see that that dropped in the past 24 hours. So if you didn't know how to read data here, you would read this market as a very bullish buy the dip opportunity, because all the data is saying buy, but the problem is it's saying buy and there's no liquidity backing that buy. There's not even any more USDT being deposited onto exchanges in order to really buy it hard, which likely means we're not at the bottom. And if I just whiz through the 24-hour down to 1 hour long versus short ratio, you can see that longs are winning on the 24-hour. You can see that longs are winning on the 12-hour by nearly 4%. We can see that on the 4-hour, however, shorts are back in control. And over the course of the past hour, the longs are back in control. And the most useful read on all that data is not the percentages, it's the quantity of numbers backing it, which is much significantly lower than usual, meaning that you shouldn't take any moves that are happening on this seriously, because as soon as Wall Street wakes back up again and they plug in the billions of dollars, it puts the price to where it should be. What we can track, however, though, is currently the amount of people that are longing Bitcoin is falling, with the long-short account ratio tipping back towards the bearish side. But we can see here when this goes bearish, the price tends to pump, and that's to squeeze short positions. The way you get Bitcoin price to go down is you get everybody to go long, and then you start selling your spot Bitcoin, and then that forces everyone that's long to close their trades or get liquidated. And when you reach those liquidation levels on the liquidation heat map, it really sends the price down. And I see many bulls right now on the liquidation heat map on the 1 month and the 1 week that we'll look at in just a second, looking at these upper areas of liquidity and going, well, that looks juicy. We're currently tapping into these levels. But you can see here this light shading that's happening underneath the price. This is all people that are longing this range here. But when you have a bunch of people that are longing a range and there's no news and no volume, that's a trap. And you can see the trap more clearly when we come down onto the 1 week, where you have all these people that talk about this upper range here going, it's definitely going to hit. Look how yellow it is. Well, we were that yellow back down here. I know it doesn't look as yellow now because the yellow's cooled off because the chart's moved on, but we were that yellow back down here when everybody was kind of, I guess, longing Bitcoin or underwater in their long positions, and this little relief bounce here has given these people confidence. It's then got them to average up their average buy price into this range here, meaning that, yeah, sure, we might tap the yellow bit, we might tap it, but we'll come wha-bam straight back down. Then we go over to the 3-day where you can see this even clearer, that we've got a very, very high range of liquidity just below $63,000. And on the 48-hour chart, you can see here that look how strong that is above. Like, we're probably going to hit it, but the thing is, what my point here has been, we're nibbling it. And when you nibble it, it's because you're on low volume. And that allows the people that are in underwater short positions to just add a little bit of liquidity. What we do here is we build up a liquidity bomb. Now think about this, you'll have found yourself in this situation, and everyone else found themselves in this situation if you've been trading. A liquidity bomb is when you're underwater in a trade, you're losing money, you're running out of margin, you can't really put much more margin into it, so you add a little bit more margin in, that pushes up your liquidation price a little bit higher, and it puts that peak yellow range on the chart just a little bit higher. And this is what happens when you reach a natural level that you just can't pass. And that's where you form these really thick yellow bars that look super juicy, but they're a trap. And that's because the people that are stuck in the trade successfully defended a position. So now this becomes a question of, can the shorts successfully defend the short position here and get the price to go back down? Well, you won't find short positions defending on a weekend though. On a weekend, you're going to see that, look, there's nobody to short it because there's no one selling it. I'm not selling my Bitcoin. You're not selling your Bitcoin. We're both retail. It's the bankers, it's the institutions, it's the people that make non-emotional related decisions that are purely financial related decisions. And it's a question of, does BlackRock need to continue to raise capital for other AI ventures next week? Will they have a bit of a cool off period? And will the Fed say something stupid? So to get a full picture on the market today, we will need to check on the news in just a second. But the final thing I want to bring up in today's kind of on-chain data analysis section, we can see here, Bitcoin aggregated open interest chart. Something that I wanted to point out here was this interesting candle that happened in the past couple of hours. This candle right here, that is a fascinating beast, because the price of Bitcoin pumped up significantly and yet that dropped. That tells me a few things. That's long positions closing and taking profit on a pump. That's short positions getting liquidated and closing on the pump. That is a change of hands. It's quite a significant wealth transfer, and it's good to see it happening in this range here. And it's also nice to see that that wasn't a continuation, because that in itself is a very bearish candle. But it's not like super short-term bearish, it's more like mid to longer term bearish to see that kind of thing. And so far in this video as well, I've completely forgot to mention, I'm still $10 million short on the price of Bitcoin. Can you guess the account balance? Because it's still going incredibly well. But before we go on and discuss these trades and how they're getting on Ubit, and before we look at the longer term chart analysis, I would love it if you could just go over and press the like button, as well as going over and turning on channel notifications, and then scrolling down the video description, joining my free Telegram, and then joining the $10,000 to $1 million trading challenge, because next week's going to be spicy. They're inching closer to a deal, but what they'll do is they'll announce the deal and then they'll drop more bombs. No one can stop these people. These people are insane. Like, this is just completely crazy. It's crazy what's going on there. They've been shooting down more drones. The deal that was imminent and is now not quite as imminent and going to be signed on Sunday rather than on Saturday will be pushed back to Monday and then Tuesday and then Wednesday, and then it will be signed, and then someone will drop a bomb and it will be deleted. In the UK, doctors are on strike again, but then they've cancelled their new strike. And the UAE is currently denying false reports of fund transfers to Iran. And by the way, no one's talked about this man for a while, and they're gonna talk about him soon. Think of a couple months down the road. Look, it's midterms. The markets are really probably kicking going into the midterms. Kicking as in bad kicking. And the whole stuff, they're gonna start doing debates again. And when they do debates, what talking points do you think they're gonna bring up? What do you think they've been gathering for months going into all of these political things? All of this stuff, this is their attack weapon. And this news all threatens crypto massively because it undermines the crypto president. Yes, he might be annoying and not the best guy on earth, probably a bit of an understatement, but he is the first president that we've ever had that has been pro our industry. And we might lose him at the midterms, which could cause that short-term dip in the market that we need to buy $40,000. It's all just a game of timing. So with that being said, Tau is up this week, 22% overnight and 37% 7% on the week because AI narratives are returning back to cryptocurrencies that actually are relevant. Michael Saylor has tweeted out that 25% of the Mag 8 holds Bitcoin, but they might not do soon. And also 25% of the Mag 8 would also include SpaceX in that. And actually, it's not 25%, it's more like 15% because they're not part of the Mag whatever because you can't join late, it's the Mag 7. What would be super interesting is if Elon Musk turned SpaceX into another version of MicroStrategy, because that would really kickstart the bull market. Another round of Bitcoin schemes. That's gonna do it for me. In other news, Bitcoin rises above $64,000 after Pakistan Prime Minister says the Iran peace deal is near. Wall Street is moving past crypto pilots and deeper into Ethereum. The only person going really deep into Ethereum is Tom Lee with someone else's money because he gets paid a salary. If you didn't know, Tom Lee gets about, I think it's $39 million or $29 million a year to be CEO of Bitmine, and Bitmine is just a group of VCs that all dump money into Ethereum, and then they make Tom Lee the face of it, and he has to deal with the media. In today's crypto news, Sam Bankman-Fried loses his appeal to overturn the 25-year prison sentence. The guy's stuck. For me, that's got to be the most shocking one, and it can only be because he made donations to Democrats and Republicans, not just Republicans. Because so many worse people than him have made it out of prison over Trump's term by just bunging him a few million quid. So let's look at the charts anyway, and let's look at my current open trade. So first of all, sure, I've got a bunch of profit there, nobody cares. I've got $1.9 million profit on this. Sure, it's fantastic for me, but for nobody else because you can't access that money, that's my money. The nicest thing here is the account balance of $4.2 million. Having started with just $2 million, I sound like Trump here, a small loan of $1 million.
It has not been easy for me. And, you know, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan.
I started, yeah, sure, with a lot of money to make a lot of money, and that was the purpose of that trade. I think it's a pretty good long-term trade, to be honest. And for now, I'm going to continue to roll the dice on it and leave it open. Because although I think there is good merit right now to a run up here, and I've charted this out as well. I charted it out the other day. It doesn't really matter that it's not over the right period of time because it can just go like that. Boom, fixed. And now we've fixed this chart here because lines on a screen ultimately are only 30% of the overall direction. Most of the direction in the market is coming from the stuff that we do with regards to volume data analysis. That is really providing the bulk of everything. This is just giving you an idea of where the market's at structurally. So when we look at the overall market structure at the moment, we can see, first of all, RSI, very simple indicator, but a nice one, a nice and simple thing to use. That's going to come down pretty soon. That's going to, we're going to get rejected here, and we're going to come down. We're going to continue to complete this trading range and trade sideways. It would be pretty strange to see the RSI fully reset on the daily all the way back to the middle point and not have any kind of downtrend, being also that the momentum oscillator tool is still indicating that we continue to go down. And overall, when we look at the wick-off accumulation pattern, we, in theory, by July, what's that, July the 1st, July the 2nd, if this timing-wise is anywhere close to being correct, that's when we hit $40,000 or $43,000. Please don't let the people on the internet turn you bullish just yet. I don't think it's time to be bullish just yet. There will come a time to be bullish and I will be the biggest Bitcoin bull, but just not yet. I really believe in lower here. Even if we were to have a short-term bounce up to 67, for me, based off of what we saw on the liquidation heat maps, the open interest and the volume, what it would suggest is a low volume breakout is pretty much imminent, and then a massive rejection out of that range when reality kicks in and the war resumes. But for all of that to happen, you need about 10 days. So going into the new week, it is kind of looking somewhat perky, is probably the best way of putting it. This here is the shorter term chart, and for a level of which we could get rejected off of, a lot of people are looking up here in the $70,000 range. And to be honest, it's not a terrible range to look at to take a short position. For me, I don't want to short heavily right now. I would rather wait out the rest of the weekend, because for me, the next trade that I place is going to be for the $10,000 to $1 million trading challenge, which we now have 557 people joining me in this venture. And if you want to get involved, first of all, you should be in my free Telegram because it's free and it's the best Telegram on earth. The second thing you should just click that link. It'll put you into a Telegram bot, and it's got all the instructions in that bot. The other thing would be though, in my videos last week, I posted this video, and in this video, I explain exactly how to get signed up for the challenge and how to use everything and sort all the links out, all that stuff that you need to do. And I've linked that video as well in today's video description. I am waiting for some volume to restore in this market so that I can post the first trade in the 10K to $1 million challenge. And I'll be keeping you all updated in the Chart Advantage Telegram group, which has got all of today's analysis in it, and it's huge. So all I ask you to do is drop a like on the video, leave a comment in the comment section below if you you enjoy my videos, just tell me that you enjoy my videos. It means a lot to me. At the end of the day, I get like $10 off YouTube per video. So if you do enjoy my videos, I appreciate it when people comment and talk to me. But sign up for the challenge. It's Sunday. It's a great opportunity to use the time today to get prepared for the next week, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!